Yeah, Ben, what's your opinion of the pursuit of full employment and how, a society based on jobs fits with a universal basic income?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Um, so I'm not opposed to moves towards full employment. Like I think it's good to have a labour market where workers have more bargaining power, which generally comes about when there are more jobs and less people. Um, I think that job guarantee proposals are a bit more complicated in that the way that we achieve full employment um, in the 20th century was by imposing a social model of the household as a mechanism to be able to create a little space outside markets. And that was relatively effective at being able to deal with class inequalities, but it did so by creating a highly gendered, raced, and heteronormative household, right? Because you kind of need to standardize all of the households so they can have the same amount of labour market access. If that's the mechanism you're going to guarantee people's incomes is via their access to jobs. So one of the problems is people's ability to work or access to work or availability for work is not the same as their need for income. So there is a difficulty in being able to say, well, the way we're going to give you incomes is based on your access to the labour market and to paid work. So that's my concern with those schemes. I tend to think they're slightly riskier in that it's not that difficult to see a job guarantee scheme turning into work for the dole. I think that we even have elements of that in the current model, where aspects of the same arguments end up in those places. I'm not suggesting that that's what advocates are actually arguing for. I'm just saying you can see how you lose control of the debate and the politics. It's much, much harder to see how the politics of basic income, other than just losing, fair enough, we might just lose, but it's hard to see how you win in a way that leads to a really bad outcome. I think any version of winning makes things a bit better. And I think that partly goes to the fact that it addresses much more directly a social need. It says people need some income. In a monetary economy, people need some income in order to be able to live. In the same way that people need access to healthcare if they're sick, people need access to childcare if they've got kids. And that is a much easier politics to advance. It's a much easier politics to keep control of. And I also think it's the secret to advancing the real argument behind this, irrespective of the various models, is sticking closely to that politics of need. And that's more, I think, why we also try to come up with some principles of the directions you move in. You try to individualize payments, that you try to increase the base rate, and you try to reduce means testing. And the end model, I think we're much more agnostic about than we are just about those principles. And our model was in many ways just a way of kind of showing the trade-offs in fiscal and inequality terms that happen as you move along that pathway. So if you went all the way, this is what it might look like. But having said that, I don't think we're about to get rid of the labour market or capitalism overnight, to be honest. I do think they might be second or third or fourth round effects potentially. And in the meantime, we definitely need good industrial relations laws, and we definitely need ways of being able to create decent, socially meaningful jobs. But I prefer that instead of saying that we're going to guarantee people jobs, we guarantee the kinds of work that need to be done, that we do ecological repair, that we have more care jobs, and we talk about why we need those good jobs, and then we go and create them rather than saying we need to demand that everyone has a job, if that makes sense.